With every game that launches and meets or surpasses expectations, there will always be several other titles that fall short. They could have the most extensive marketing budget, the sharpest visuals, or the biggest IP behind them. Things just don't come together in a compelling, much less enjoyable way. Of course, other titles could disappoint simply due to trends and being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Regardless, here are 15 picks for the most disappointing games of 2024. Star Wars Outlaws. As iffy as certain things looked before launch, there was still some hope for Star Wars Outlaws just from Massive Entertainment's involvement alone. The reputation and wanted system, more organic exploration, and focus on single-player were all the right moves, but it didn't land for consumers. Those who did take the plunge suffered numerous bugs and issues with movement, combat, AI, stealth, and so on. It's a better game now, but Outlaws still needs work.
Okay, but need someone to relieve me soon. Oh!
You're not letting up!
Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. Even with successes like Helldivers 2, this year just wasn't it for live service titles. However, the negative response to Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League began well prior, with many criticizing the looter-shooters format. The release sadly did nothing to rise to the occasion, featuring a horrendous story that falls off a cliff, insufferable characters, and the same dreary games-as-a-service mission structure seen hundreds of times before. With a $200 million budget impact on Warner Bros. Discovery's revenue, Suicide Squad clearly didn't meet expectations. Skull and Bones. Alleged reboots, high-profile departures, constant delays, and a ballooning budget, Ubisoft's Skull and Bones had all of the key ingredients for a potential disaster. Adding in all of the live service staples like seasons, always online gameplay, a focus on multiplayer, and whatnot only hastened the game's doom. Calling it a quadruple A title also didn't help. With player numbers reportedly coming in at less than 1 million around launch, it was a failure before it even set sail. Planet Coaster 2. Incredible visuals and the studio's penchant for attention to detail did little to make a difference for Planet Coaster 2, which is, by all accounts, a hotly awaited sequel, that much more palatable. The awful AI, the pathing issues, the lackluster pools, awful characters, and various bugs were just too significant to ignore, even with the better campaign. Frontier has rolled out improvements and it will likely excel in the long run, but for now, Planet Coaster 2 is an underwhelming ride. Farming Simulator 25. After the failure of Farming Simulator 23, at least on Nintendo Switch, Farming Simulator 25 marked a return for the franchise to consoles and PC. It shipped with extensive bugs, an annoying user interface, jarring physics, and multitudes of other issues that remain. That on top of the unoptimized performance on PC, which hinders the otherwise strong environmental effects and textures. Mods will likely make it a better experience over time, but at this point, fans would appreciate a strong title out the gate, which certainly applies to our next choice. Starfield Shattered Space. Starfield had its share of mixed impressions after launching last year, and Shattered Space seemed like the perfect opportunity to address many issues while offering a fresh slate. However, Starfield Shattered Space delivered the most rudimentary content and barren surroundings to go with a lackluster character and storytelling. Even the intriguing gravity anomalies barely appear after a point. A Quiet Place: The Road Ahead. I was excited about Stormine Games' first-person horror, especially with how it leveraged the films and their mechanics. Unfortunately, A Quiet Place: The Road Ahead is a hugely linear, highly scripted experience with bizarre AI, questionable design choices, and a predictable story that fails to really leverage its endearing characters. Concord. Sony's biggest first-party failure in years, Concord was seemingly doomed from its first proper reveal, especially when the hero shooter elements became apparent. After a beta with abysmal numbers, it would launch to middling reviews and reportedly sold only 25,000 copies.
Trouble at Zone B. Chips is out!
Watch your head! Sniper!
Bad
Sony initially pulled the title from sale and shut down servers before eventually shuttering it and Firewalk Studios together. Rise of the Ronin. Director Fumihiko Yasuda revealed around June that Rise of the Ronin was Koei Tecmo's best-selling game so far, with the publisher even reporting higher sales than Nioh. That's all great, but the game itself fell short of what we expected in terms of open-world activities and storytelling. At least the combat remains enjoyable, and Team Ninja has provided some extensive post-launch content for free. Dragon Age: The Veilguard. The first Dragon Age title in 10 years was bound to have astronomical expectations, especially with all the rumors and reports of reboots. Combat was sharp, despite pivoting to a real-time hack-and-slash approach, and the environments are gorgeous without a doubt. It's everything else that either whelmed or disappointed, from the uneven characterization and writing to the mission structure. Though it wasn't BioWare's worst, it's far from being its best. Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Significant improvements over last year's game don't excuse Call of Duty Black Ops 6 from disappointing in other ways. Despite a superior campaign, its story ultimately fell flat and continued the same cliffhanger approach. While multiplayer fell short with its map design, Zombies is unsurprisingly good, despite some balance issues, and while the overall experience classifies as good, it's nowhere near the genre's heights. Unknown 9 Awakening. There's always some skepticism when a developer gets ahead of itself and plans out an entire universe for its IP before the first game even launches. Unfortunately, Unknown 9 Awakening loaded its bland premise with dull writing and boring combat, while various bugs and performance issues weighed even heavier. Suffice it to say that with an all-time peak concurrent player count of 285 people on Steam at launch, Unknown 9 Awakening failed to meet any expectations heaped on it. Multiverses. From a promising platform fighter to being pulled and relaunched earlier this year in a worse form, Multiverses has had quite the journey. It's hard to pinpoint all the issues, be it the sheer lack of quality of life features at launch or how underwhelming rifts felt after they finally went live, but above all else, the feel and fluidity from the open beta felt like it was missing, and unfortunately, Player First Games hasn't been able to capture the magic ever since. XDefiant. Initially revealed as part of the Tom Clancy series, XDefiant would become a standalone entity while still crossing over with other titles. However, despite some responsive shooting, it couldn't match the features and content of other free-to-play shooters at launch. Various issues like network performance also affected it, causing a sharp downturn. Maybe there's still time to right the ship, but based on the company's track record, XDefiant's days may be numbered. Outcast A New Beginning. Developing a sequel to a niche title from the late 90s is unusual on its own, but perhaps Outcast The New Beginning could cater to longtime fans. What it did do was offer a massive world with nothing exciting, loading up players with menial tasks and awful writing. Appealing as it may be for those seeking more old-school style titles, A New Beginning felt more like an awkward continuation for a cult classic series.
Slade, you're too late. Pull out, you hear me? The general's on his way.
I'm not going anywhere. Slade out.
Hey, did you know that we at GamingBolt upload new videos every day? Stick around, drop a like, subscribe, and hit that bell. And let us know what kind of content you'd like to see in the future with a comment below.